Welcome to SHOT Show TV. I'm Rachel Kopczyk, and we are continuing our live conversations here at SHOT Show 2016. Now I am joined by two gentlemen, Nick and Larry, who are both the heads of the fish and wildlife departments of their respective states. So let's get started with you, Nick. Why don't you fill us in on Florida and what your department's all about?
Well, sure, Rachel. It's great to be here, and what they're doing here at the SHOT Show is such an important part of what we do in Florida as far as delivering conservation programs on the ground. We receive funding from the sales of all the firearms and ammunition, and that comes down and comes to the state, so we can actually do cool stuff on the ground to take care of fish and wildlife, to make sure those that want to hunt, those that want to enjoy wildlife, will have wildlife to enjoy. So we really do appreciate the partnership and connection with the shooting sports industry and NSSF.
Right. Now, what are some of those cool things you guys get to do with the funds that you get?
Well, in Florida, we get about $14 million a year. About $4 million goes to developing shooting ranges, which is a really important thing for people to have a place to safely go out and shoot and enjoy shooting. Can't have it without that. So that's a big piece. Another $10 million roughly goes to wildlife management programs, taking care of wildlife management areas, keeping management areas open to hunters and other people that want to go out and use the land. It's a great project for open access, public access, and keeping that property going and keeping that opportunity for people.
Right, and getting more public ranges available is not an easy task.
Not easy, but essential. We have to keep going with that, and it's good to have the funding support and the partnership to do that.
It is. And Larry, what about you? Tell us a little bit about what's involved in the Fish and Wildlife Department in your world.
Well, the Arizona Game and Fish Department in Arizona is responsible for stewardship of about 800 species. We've got a lot of diversity, and we also manage the sport hunting, but also sport shooting programs in the state. We manage a diversity of shooting ranges, including one of the premier ranges in the nation, the Ben Avery Shooting Facility, which hosts international events from all over the world. And as Nick was pointing out, the backbone of state Fish and Wildlife Agency funding comes from a combination of two things: the sale of hunting and fishing licenses, and excise tax on hunting and fishing equipment and motorboat fuels and things like that. The Sport Fish and Wildlife Restoration Program from the Pittman-Robertson Act, Dingell-Johnson Act. 11% of every sale of firearms and ammunition goes to state Fish and Wildlife Agency's conservation activities, and it helps us manage our shooting facilities too. So this is an absolutely essential component of our reality.
Oh yeah.
And over $5.5 billion of conservation is executed through the states every year. That's how important the hunters and anglers are to conservation in America.
How important has it become for both of you to really work on the conservation efforts in your states?
Well, for me, it's my passion. It's what I love to do. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be involved, and I love to see projects where we have people out enjoying the land, enjoying the wildlife, restoring wildlife populations. A lot of people don't realize the people that are out participating in shooting sports are actually funding bald eagle restoration and things like that, on top of providing for dove fields and places for people to go shoot. So it's just cool to me to see that happen on the ground, to see smiling faces, see young people particularly enjoy those activities. And I love getting my own kids out and doing it myself. So it's just a passion that I have, and I know Larry shares that as well.
Yes.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the world we live in. That's what we do. But beyond just the quality of life issues that are important and we care so much about, there's a huge economic impact as a result of hunting and fishing. In Arizona, it's a multi-billion-dollar returner to our economy in Arizona. So it's essential from an economic perspective, but also a quality of life perspective, as everybody who hunts and fishes knows.
Mm-hmm. And looking ahead to the future, as we wind down here, where do you guys see the money and the work that needs to be done in both of your states to keep this industry moving forward?
Well, one thing I think is really critical is we continue to make sure people understand the connections and the value of the shooting sports industry to conservation. A lot of people don't realize how important that is. We need to keep that strong, that relationship strong, that awareness strong, and elevate that more so people know what's happening and the benefits of that. So that's one thing we really want to keep talking about, keep getting the word out about. And we're always going to have challenges with fish and wildlife and things we're going to have to deal with and focus on. But to keep this heritage of hunting and shooting sports alive and well is really the challenge. We got to keep on that all the time, and we're going to stay with it.
And for you, Larry?
Well, I absolutely agree. 80% of people support hunting, but only about 15% actually participate in hunting, and it's actually a little lower figure in a lot of states. Arizona, it's down around 8%. So it's really important that everybody understands just what it means to conservation to have active hunting and fishing and conservation programs.
All right, thank you both so much for sharing your time and your expertise with us here, and the great work you're doing to keep the industries running smoothly for everybody who's here at SHOT Show. I'm Rachel Kopczyk, and thanks for watching SHOT Show TV.